What?
Yeah. I will say something. When I started out, well, when we started out the idea of doing little test reviews, it's a bit annoying to have to review two Australian wins in a row, but it's fine.
Uh, it'll come back. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine. But we're back. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to who are we, Jamie?
Oh, you're letting me do it.
Yeah.
We're Jamie and Matt.
Oh, we've just not Crick Pod.
Oh, that.
And that thing
Oh,
that we
yeah.
are. Professionalism.
Is
Good
that what we're
stuff.
doing? Okay.
I don't know.
Uh,
Welcome back to Le Pod, our Ashes Test Reviews, episode 2. Is it a series? Don't know. Here to talk about the women's test, which finished yesterday, which Australia won by 89 runs in the end. Ash Gardner was player of the match, finished with match figures of 12 wickets with 8 for 66 in the last innings. Australia women do what Australia women do well, which is win. Um, Jamie, have you got any opening thoughts for our discussion today?
I think the 89 wins run doesn't do the game justice. That makes it seem like Australia won it quite like they were far and away the better team, but I thought it was quite
Yeah,
even throughout. There, like the first men's game, like, I think there was toing and throwing. I think the main thing was whenever England had an advantage, they never capitalized
yeah,
it. And when, especially in England's second innings, when they were down, Australia jumped on that.
yeah, 100%. And I think that's where you see how good a side Australia. I mean, I've said this for ages that I think they're one of the best sporting teams ever. Like their record of winning is just it's just a habit, and they just get into that role and just win and win and win and find ways of winning. Even this game, like you say, when it's very kind of nip and tuck, um, they still found the way to get home and get home quite comfortably in the end as well, which was really quite something. Um, if we do our little innings by innings, I think that worked quite well last week, maybe potentially. So yeah, what have we got on the door? So yeah, obviously Australia batted first. So it was Australia that won the toss, and Lisa Healy chose to bat. I think, as you said in the Touring Horse interview, it's sun's out, you got to bat, right? And she's right. Um, it started off, I think, for me, with concern, especially when you have Elise Perry coming in at 3, and she was out eventually for 99. But it looked like apart from a few early on encounters with Lauren Filer making her debut, it just looked very comfortable, classic Elise Perry innings, and you just felt she's nailed on 100 here. Basically, did. But it was just kind of watching that, feeling like, okay, this feels. I think I tweeted it's very much the Taylor Swift song. I think I've seen this film before, and I don't like the ending. I was like, this feels too familiar. And they were 202 for 2 at one stage before England fought back at the end of day 1. But then Annabelle Sutherland came in and scoring 137. Potentially might have been a turning point in the game, because Australia were 238 for 6 when Perry was dismissed on 99. And that could have been really a point where England really went gun ho and get a real good indent in that first innings. But from 238 for 6 to 473 all out kind of feels like general England, even if it's men's or women's. Like let's get the tail ends out, doesn't work. But Sutherland played a great knock. Sophie Eccleston with her first 5 wickets of the match, 529. She had an absolute worldie. And then Laura Filer as well, quite eye-catching on debut, 2 for 99, but with really, really good pace as well, which is what was spoken about a bit before the game, and she offered that on her debut. Any thoughts about first innings vibes?
I think just reiterating the point of when England were on top, they didn't take advantage because I think it was Perry, Jonathan, and Healy that all went
Yeah.
in a relatively short time period, and
Yeah.
you're getting into the bowlers and the tail enders then. And yeah, England just didn't take advantage of that, which they never do, regardless of format, uh, sex, age,
Yeah.
gender. They just can't get bowlers out for some reason.
Yeah.
And like same sort of credit that we have to give Pat Cummins and Nathan Lyon to
Yeah, of course.
Gardner and Sutherland. Like
Yeah.
this knock from Sutherland came out from nowhere. Like 16 fours is mental.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
some of the shots she was playing as well were proper batsman shots.
Yeah. No, it's she played an absolute blinder. And I think for me, I think there's a few couple of turning points, but yeah, there's obviously a few standout batters in the game, but she's easily one of them. And I think when the pressure is on, again with this Australian side, they just find a way. And she played an absolute worldie there at the end of that innings. So yeah, 473. I just felt as soon as they score that's too many. I thought that's just going to be that from the position that you're in to really let Australia off the hook, because that's, I guess, technically what it is, as well as Australia played. I think England would feel disappointed not to finish off that innings earlier, like we've said. But yeah, they batted very well, especially at the end, and really hung in there for Sutherland, especially Lana King. Kim Garth really stuck around as well, just to really eke out those extra runs, and he scored at a good rate as well, 3.8 and over, which is what you need to really set up a game. But yeah, like I said, Sophie Eccleston, we'll talk about her a little bit later as well, but she's just constantly showing how good she is for England. And I think regardless, again, of anything, I think she's probably England's best spinner without a shadow of a doubt. She just time and time again just performs on the big stage, whether that be franchise cricket or for England. She's just an absolute gun. So yeah, so I think very much ending that first innings advantage, very much Australia. But then
Like,
England come. Go on.
yeah, I was just going to say, like, Eccleston got a really good breakthrough when Perry and McGrath were like building the partnership
Yeah,
after Mooney and Litchfield had
yeah,
gone. So, which was an important wicket to take. And like again, England couldn't capitalize further on that, despite her getting 4 more
yeah,
wickets in the end.
yeah.
And like it was a screamer of a ball as well. The way it spun
Oh, it's a great
was
ball.
a
It
bit
was an absolute brilliant ball.
mad.
And she bowled a couple. I think it was yeah, Healy and McGrath, both of those balls. I mean, Healy probably could have done a little bit better, but it's just a classic left arm spinner's delivery. Like it's pitching around about middle and leg and then spinning to take the top of off. It was just top stuff. Like it's just classical. It's great. So great bowler, has been a great bowler for a long, long time, and shall continue to be. So then England come into bat. They scored 463, so only 10 runs behind Australia. So on the face of it, that looks good. But they very much had the opportunity to really build and get an innings lead. But obviously the main talking point from England's innings is Tammy Beaumont getting 208. So she batted through the innings. I believe she was the last wicket out. I'm pretty,
Yeah,
she was. Yeah. So she played an absolutely brilliant knock. And just that's the first ever double hundred for England women in Test matches as well. So the highest score ever for an England women in a Test match. But just looked completely comfortable from the off. Like I just looked like she was not going to give her a wicket up easily. Just batted big, batted long. And if you're an opener batter and you're batting through innings for 121 overs, that is some feat. So that is just incredible knock from Tammy. Anything to mention on the knock?
I mean, you say no real chances, but she was literally out on
Oh, that's a good point.
61. Like her, I think she was defending, clipped the bat, came off of foot, went up the short leg.
Yeah.
And for some reason, Australia just didn't review.
Oh, yeah, classic.
I think throughout the game, I think the reviews were a bit weird.
The reviews were very bit weird and a few kind of very marginal DRSs as well.
Yeah, I think the umpires got a few LBWs that were missing wickets.
Yeah.
As well. So like LBW decisions were a bit weird, especially batsmen. Like they were using up reviews
Yeah,
quite freely, which was a
yeah,
bit weird. But I mean, it Beaumont anyway. It was like a classic test match,
yeah,
and it's like even the strike rate screams that, and there's just some great shots. The way she like cuts and dabs as well, just proper
yeah,
play.
yeah. She's a great little cutter, that kind of like opening the face, that kind of stuff. Using face. So yeah, brilliant. I mean, she's been in and around England set up for a long time. I believe she lost the place in the T20 side. Forgive me if I'm wrong in the comments, but in 50 over cricket and Test cricket, she's an absolute staple in the side in the top order. Yeah, has been for a long time, and she's now. I can grab you the list, which is a great stat, because it's a very prestigious record. So she is now part of a little elite club. So if I give you the names and you can try and guess what club she's joined. So the three other players on this list are Heather Knight, Joss Butler, and David Milan.
Oh, okay.
Little sack quiz.
Is it hundreds in all formats of the game?
It is. Yeah. So she is now the fourth English player to score a century in all three international formats, which is pretty good for the old CV.
Yeah. Not bad going there.
No, yeah. But no, yeah, brilliant. So she was like absolutely the glue around the innings. So yeah, a great knock.
I think really complemented nicely by Knight, Giverbrunt, and then Wyatt as well, because
Yeah,
they were all scoring at a reasonably, not necessarily quick rate, but a really good strike rate, not positive, but around the 70s, 80s,
yeah,
especially Giverbrunt and Wyatt, which really helped cement Beaumont things.
yeah,
It gave a nice balance to
yeah,
those three partnerships.
yeah, 100%. I mean, and that's exactly what you want with innings when you're chasing the game as well. So I mean, if you're I say an older generational England, because also Heather Knight has spoken about wanting this side to be aggressive as well as similar to the men's, to really take the game to Australia. You could easily set on that Trent Bridge pitch and bat long and bat big, and then it just becomes a draw fest. But they need to get up to parity to Australia quickly in order to try and force a result from the game. And there never seemed a point where England were going to be, no, we'll just dig in now and not try and go for it. And yeah, like you said, so you got Knight, Skibblebrunt, and Wyatt really added to that impetus. I thought Danny Wyatt played really well on debut. Obviously, it's been a long debut coming. So she'd been specialty kind of white ball before. So this is her first big entrance to the test match arena. And I thought she batted really well. We'll talk about her in the second innings. But like you said, that kind of impetus from Heather, Knight, and Danny was just really good to see. And I just think it's where they really could have built on, if I'm honest. Because similar to Australia, they were 288 for 2 at one point. Obviously went on to get 463, which is good. But and again, similar to Australia with that kind of building that innings up. But I really felt that they could have really pushed on there. 411 for 5 at one stage as well. So then that's a little mini collapse to 463 all out. So I think there really was a chance to bat a bit longer, get a bit of maybe a 50, 60 plus lead, and pull it to Australia that way. But didn't quite work out because, again, Australia are actually frigging guns. So Ash Gardner got 4 wickets, 4 for 99. Tony McGrath, 3 for 24. Just always just completely on it. And then wickets shared around between Darcy Brown, Sutherland, and Lisa Perry. So yeah, we will highlight more, I guess, the England players because we're an English podcast. But yeah, Australia are good. We know this. Sorry, go on.
I mean, I will get more into it in the final innings, but like Gardner is an absolute baller.
Yeah. I mean, we'll talk about her in a bit, but I will give you another one of the stats just before we carry on. But yeah, 4 wickets in the first innings. And as I mentioned at the top, she is player of the match. And if you're listening to this, you probably know what happened in the last innings anyway. But I'll just give you a little another stat or just a little nugget of information. this is a report from Nick Savage on the cricket Twitter, but it's obviously common knowledge. But within the last 12 months, Ash Gardner has a gold medal in the Commonwealth Games. She was the player of the Women's Big Bash League. She's player of the Women's T20 World Cup. She secured a 558,000 Women's Premier League contract for the WPL. And then obviously player of the match of the women's test here. So she's had a pretty good year, I'd say.
Could be better.
Yeah, could be improved.
Yeah.
Could have got all 20 in this game, I reckon.
I mean, why not just take every wicket? Like,
I know, rubbish.
she only got 40 runs in the first innings. Like, what's that?
I know.
Come on. Don't just bowl. Have a bat. Come on.
Supposed to be an all-rounder, mate. What are you doing? But no, I mean, brilliant. I mean, Australia just produced these absolute brilliant players all the time. So I mean, her test record now. I mean, again, there should be more women's test matches. Let's just say that for a start. So she's only played 4 tests. Got 12 wickets in this one, but 16 overall. But you look at her ODI record: 58 wickets at 24, T20 record: 53 wickets at 19. She's just good multi-format, and if you get more test cricket, then you get to see more performances like that, where I think the more overs you bowl, the more you get to see the variety in their bowling, which I think with Ash Gardner is just, you just love to watch her bowl. Basically, it's just a great action. Classic Australia.
Yes, I think this game in general is a very good advertisement and argument
100%.
for more test matches in the women's
100%.
game, and the 5 days as well. Because if this was 4 days, this has just been done and drawn.
Would be the same as all the rest. Yeah,
boring.
yeah.
And like, you wouldn't have gotten the final day just absolute mauling that Gardner did on
Yeah.
England, and like, it wouldn't have meant anything. Both teams could have got like a couple of points each for the series, which would mean just nothing. Like,
Yeah. No,
you
100%. Yeah.
need that extra day for a proper match. I don't know why any team would forego a day for a test match at all. Like, what benefit could that have? It can only like make you go into an Ashes series a bit undercooked and lose the first test match.
Yeah.
Or playing an exhibition 4-day match. I don't know who would do that.
No, don't know who would say. But I'm hoping that the ICC look at this and see it works, and there's no reason why it couldn't work. Everywhere else and for all the other teams and all the other series. It's like, I don't know, like you say, what benefit is a 4-day game when from memory, most of the most recent test matches for the women's game have ended in draws because they can't get a result out of the 4 days, because test cricket was designed basically to be 5 days. That is how test cricket has then been formed and adapted and evolved over the years, that 5 days is the best way to test cricketers across an amount of time. I guess it's the most common way you get a result. And then that's showcased from this, that Australia only needed the morning session of day 5, but you wouldn't have had that if it'd been a draw on day 4. So 5-day tests. That's all. It's not asking much, is it, surely? And also more tests. I mean, people were also saying that this could there not have been maybe 2 test matches and then the 1-day stuff, especially with kind of England, Australia. I think they're definitely 2 countries that could really push test cricket in the women's form, absolutely. And I think they also get crowds in. Give you another crowd stat before we move on to the second half of the game. So it's a record attendance, first of all, for a women's test in England. So there's 23,200 people, of course, for the 5 days. Day 5 is also free, which is also another good Trent Bridge win. Obviously, it didn't quite go down to the wire in a similar way to it did last year, I suppose, for England, New Zealand. But I think that's great from Trent Bridge, kind of seeing the initiative and being like, this could be a great day for women's cricket. Tickets are free. Come on down and watch it. I thought that's great. But I think the most telling stat is that for day 2, I believe this was, there were 6,951 people at Trent Bridge. And literally last year, the test match at Taunton within England and India, I believe, it was 7,000 tickets overall. So that's across the 4 days. So you can see how women's game is growing, and test matches, if you're in a place like, I think Nottingham is a great place for a women's test as well, or just a test generally. It's middle-ish of the country. You could always have a second one if you want to try and go somewhere else as well. But the draw of the women's game is growing. And I think anyone who says it isn't is just wrong. Like, there were some great crowds, especially the weekend at the game, and saw some really good cricket. Like you said, very beginning, very close nip and tuck. It's good quality international cricket, and it is growing. It's only going to improve. So the crowds were great. I mean, they obviously could have been more, but the tickets prices were great. £15 an adult. I think it was potentially free for under 16s, but that's a great start, and that's only going to grow more people to come along and watch it. And then you're slowly going to get, crowds filling up more and more and more until you get to a similar situation at the end of the 2020 T20 World Cup, where they pretty much sold out the MCG for the women's final. So the game's just going to grow more and more. And I think Test cricket can attract bigger audiences, especially in places like England and Australia. So fingers crossed for more. Touch wood would be nice.
We'll see who's playing on Friday.
Yeah. Right. So we're on to the second half of the game. Got your notes?
I've got some notes.
Yeah. So this is obviously the turning point of the test. Australia then got 257 in their second innings. Beth Mooney 85, Phoebe Litchfield 46, Elisa Healy 50. But yeah, 257 all out, setting England 268 to win. Now, this is where I think the game was also lost a second time. That I think that Australia got off to a very good start, and quite an aggressive start, and I almost kind of took England by surprise, I would say. And that kind of momentum kind of fed through from how they had quickly wrapped up England's first innings and then taken that into their batting. So yeah, that top three, even with Perry only get 25, but that's a solid top three, being basically 151 for two at one stage. Felt like, is this a flat wicket? Or Australia just going to set England too many? It just felt like it got away a bit from England in that first session. I don't know, even though Eccleston bowled superbly at the end, it did feel as though that momentum kind of stretched over the game, and that England didn't need that big old quick 100 runs at the beginning from 99 between Mooney and Litchfield. I felt that was the big momentum shift. But England fought back well. Sophie Eccleston with another 5 wickets, giving her 10 for the match. Any notes?
I mean, there was a very early caught and bowl chance as well on Litchfield, which could have just changed the complete outlook of the game.
Yeah,
because they went on to put 99 partnership together. Like, if you take that, and it's a different outlook completely. I think there was another drop as well. I think it was Litchfield was dropped as well.
Yeah, England did drop a few catches. Yeah,
like it's just taking your chances if you've got an opportunity to. And I think towards the back end of day 3, and especially on day 4, the pitch started to like jag a bit and have the ball move a lot more. And I think Australia adapted to that much better than England did when they went out to bat. Like, what were they? Like 200 for 7 at one point as well?
They were 198 for 7.
Yeah, it's like, if England managed to roll off those 3 wickets quickly and only have to chase like 40 runs fewer, again, that's a big difference. Like, chasing 250 is a mental hurdle, isn't it? Like, that's the big score you've got to chase. But
psychological total, isn't it? It's another net,
But like, if you're chasing closer to 200, you've got in your mind there is a better chance. Obviously, there's a better chance, but the psychological, mental aspect of it is so much that it's going to help you more. Like, it's going to prove a massive difference.
Yeah. And I think Healy played really well in the back end of the innings as well, because she really kind of rallied around the tail. Because she's normally an opener, as far as I'm aware, I think, from my knowledge. But to be captaining and batting at 7 or 8-ish, I think she's at. But to really rally around the tail in that final innings with not much around her. So the tail enders were on the scorecard looks as though they were skittled, but Alana King especially stuck around for 9 or 48 balls, which is kind of, you know, crucial at that stage of the game where you got Healy on 50. So that's another 50 runs on the score, which, you know, if they'd been able to get Alana King out early, then again might have made a difference, and Healy might not have got all the, you know, the additional runs.
Well, Healy actually came in 2 places lower. So Sutherland and Gardner came in above her, which is an interesting decision. I think her captaincy was really good as well throughout the game. So that's turned out to be a really good decision from her, unless it was like a Stokes-esque.
Yeah, but I don't know whether or not she's said the reasoning behind it, but you know, it's I guess it's trying to seize momentum. You know, Sutherland played, you know, really well. Both Sutherland and Gardner played really well in that first inning. So I guess it's trying to, you know, they're the informed bats and they can go in and potentially help set up a score. But, you know, when that hasn't quite worked out, she's then taken on the responsibility and then got 50 runs that she needed. She's, you know, a very experienced player, and it's, you know, exactly what kind of showcases his Australian side, and is probably the difference. Maybe I think that's the third turning point, but you know, I'd say it's a vital 50 that she made. So just a quick note on England. There's Lauren Fire got another 2 wickets, a really good showcase for her pace once again. I think she's had a really good debut with 4 wickets overall, but yeah, the pace really being the showcase. Lauren Bell chipped in with a wicket as well. Kate Cross bowled an absolute beauty to get rid of Litchfield. Kind of not sure if it was an off cutter or a leg cutter, or if there's more natural, but it was kind of just, I think, left alone by Litchfield and just sort of jagged in and took the off stump. It was just an absolute c'est magnifique. But yeah, looked really, really good. Jagged back nicely. But yeah, once again, the main talking point, Sophie Eccleston again, 5 wickets. So 5 for 63 of her 30 overs, 7 maidens, going economy rate of 2. Was really showcasing the kind of a few more demons in the pitch at this stage, which you get across 5 days of cricket. That the pitch was opening up and was offering more to bowlers and especially spinners, and she just absolutely executed that amazingly. And then finished with 10 in the match, which, you know, we'll talk about the achievements of Ash Gardner again in a sec, but taking that out of context, 10 wickets in the game is a great achievement.
Yes, and as good as the 5 wickets were, the 7 maidens are incredible, because you want to keep that same batsman on strike. You want them facing the same ball, not the same ball, but you want them on strike consistently to try and get that batsman out. So she was really stopping them from rotating strike.
Yeah,
nicely, and rewarded for it.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, I mean, another day would have been player of the match. So it's again just a brilliant achievement. So well done, Sophie. Good stuff. But we're going to go into England's last innings. So they were chasing 268, and this is this. As I said at the beginning, this is why Australia are so good. They had a solid start. So Beaumont and Lamb put on 50 for the first wicket. But then England did fall to be 178 all out. It was a bit of a capitulation. Kind of the end of day 4, beginning of day 5. They were 5 down overnight, and then those 5 wickets kind of just went in no time the next day. The kind of only notable score of note was Danny Wyatt at 54 on debut. It did feel like for a second she might pull off kind of like a Headingley 2019-ish kind of feeling. You know, she's an aggressive player by nature. This was kind of really set up for her to kind of do something special, and I thought, well, maybe. No, not maybe. Ash Gardner got 8 for 66 in the end, which is the second best figures in women's Test cricket ever. In terms of the overall, so 12 wickets in the game, which just looked unplayable at one point. I think one of my favourite ones was the wicket of Amy Jones with the stumping, because this comes down to Healy as well, also captain and also keeping. So Healy missed the stumping first up, but then was still able to have time and awareness to then bring it back down and stump Jones, which just shows you how good a cricketer she is. And then also the flight of Gardner to deceive Amy when she'd already come down the wicket earlier that over. But yeah, and I think repeating myself a lot, but it's just Australia are good and they know how to win, and then they found a way of winning.
They are quite good, aren't they? And like there was the Dunkley wicket as well. There was a ball before
Yeah,
where Healy got wrapped like on the tip of the finger, but
yeah,
next ball, like Dunkley just very, very slightly edges it, and Healy just takes that
yeah,
so comfortably. And like I think Beaumont and Lamb going relatively quickly.
yeah,
Uh, it was a big time for Lamb to go. Like you can't really knock Beaumont after her first inning. It was a poor
yeah.
shot, but like give her a break.
I
So
mean,
Lamb
yeah,
needed to stick around.
I think I mean she
But
kept in the game from the 200, so I think
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
she can have a pass.
Yeah, but like to have both openers go so quickly and have two new batsmen in, I think that showed with Knight and Giverbrunt just getting out for a collective of 9 runs. I
Yeah,
think Giverbrunt had a really poor shot for her
yeah,
wicket. Like I think that was one of the few Gardner wickets that wasn't really attacking the stumps as well. Like
yeah,
the thing I've noticed with her wickets is like mostly bold LBW, and whenever they're caught behind by Healy. Like she's really, really aggressive in attacking
yeah.
the batsman's stump. And apparently that's very difficult to play. She just gets everyone out.
Yeah, yeah, no, I would agree that Nat's shot wasn't great. That was kind of the one gift I would say that Gardner had, and you'd expect more from Skipper Brunt in that kind of scenario. So yeah, to lose her for a duck is not what you want to chase. You'd also hope for more from Heather Knight as well, um, going for 9. But yeah, that was another DRS fun time. So it's just like you want more Test cricket, so the teams can learn from this. And obviously, Australia are a very well-oiled team, and I think they'll win regardless of the format. But I think a team like England or the other formats, other teams really can learn from just having more Test matches, more red ball cricket, and you can see that there's very, very good stuff in there for Test cricket. But they just need to play more, and there might be in a time where a player might be a bit more pressure. But on the flip side, Australia also just very good and can pounce, and they have enough players that can win a team. So, at least Perry getting out for 99, but then didn't really do too much the rest of the game. And normally she could be a banker with the ball and the field and bat in the second innings. But they've just got so many players to call upon. And I think potentially England were found a little bit wanting at times. I think especially across the game in their kind of middle to lower order. So not a lot from really kind of Dunkley and Amy Jones in the game really. And
I
that's where
think,
you
yeah,
the powerhouse you need the runs from.
I think Dunkley, especially in the first innings as well, was like 9 or 50.
Yeah,
Like when Beaumont's doing her thing at the other end, you need to be ticking on a bit. You need to be rotating strikes, but
yeah,
not even any boundaries from it. Like Knight's 9 in this second inning at least had a 6. Like she was
oh,
trying to
yeah,
be
yeah,
aggressive.
yeah. Taking on Gardner.
And like this is kind of one of the disappointing aspects of not having more test matches following on from this, because we can't really debate who would be out of the side and who would
Yeah,
like.
exactly.
It would be fun going through that. Oh, maybe dropping Dunkley would be the right call and having a someone come in, or
Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
mean,
Like,
it's that's the again, yeah, like you say, that's the sad thing that if there was more Test match cricket and you then have the battles, that how does Ash Gardner do in another
yeah,
test on maybe a greener wicket? But yeah, you have other players that could have come in. I think Sarah Glenn would have been one. Another spin option. I put out on Twitter earlier someone saying could potentially. I think it was Charlie Dean coming in potentially, but we don't know
no,
because
and
that's our
yeah,
5-day test gone, and then we're not going to have another one for a long time.
and just mad that this is Danny Wyatt's first test match.
Yeah,
She just looks so assured.
yeah,
Both innings, it was just like, wow, I've been doing this for ages. This is easy.
yeah. You did, I think, have that sense of you can tell that she's played a lot of kind of white ball cricket by the way she pushes at the ball, and her defense is a bit more kind of like up
Mhm.
as opposed to like I suppose watching rate for the red ball, but women play predominantly white ball cricket in the game. So it's again, she would only get better if playing more test matches, but I kind of feel like I agree that I think there should have been 2 or 3 games in the test match in this whole kind of Ashes series, as opposed to just one. Because it now leaves the rest of the series kind of a bit not uncompetitive, because these two sides are both very good, but I mean Australia are excellent, but it does mean that England will need to, let me just quickly find the stats. I think they need to win every game apart from one. Let me just double check.
But it just wildly
Yeah.
favors Australia, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Whereas if there was like 2 or 3 test matches, like there could have been an opening for England again, because this wasn't one-sided. The scoreline makes it appear that
It does look like that, yeah, but
it was very even throughout. Like, if a team makes 450 plus, you'll be happy to get within 10 of that
100%.
score. Like,
yeah,
I think if there was a second test match, I wouldn't put it past England to win.
yeah, no, I'd agree.
Like,
100%.
I think that's the way you progress women's cricket and make the gap between Australia and everyone else just that bit more. Just,
yeah, no, completely.
yeah.
I mean, I do love multi-format series, because it does mean that every game counts. But yeah, I think it's that, England need to win. I just want to make sure I'm right, because the points matter, obviously. So yeah, they need to win 5 out of 6 of the white ball games to regain the Ashes. And this is against the 50 over World Cup winners and the T20 World Cup winners. So obviously, of course, you get more points for a test match because it's the most testing format. But now it's kind of like, well, that's a very tall order at the best of times, let alone when you need to chase so many points. So it's, could you not have had 2 test matches and 2 50 overs and 2 T20s? Because why do you need 3 of the 50 overs and 3 of the T20s if they're not in a little mini series,
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Why is it not even for a even numbered?
Yeah.
That's silly, but why? Yeah.
Yeah. So tall order. So I would expect Australia to go on and win, because Australia are very good. But yeah, it's overall though, it was just a very good game, and I enjoyed it. I mean, I wasn't able to watch all of it, and sadly I have to work. But everything that I saw was just really good, and the crowd was great, and there was some brilliant performances. So Ash Gardner, Tammy Beaumont. I watched a lot of Elise Perry's 99 that first day. It's just good quality, high quality cricket, and I'm sure the rest
has
of it
over the men's Ashes coverage. The commentary is so much better. Like, obviously,
commentary is great, actually.
Atherton and Ponting are top tier, but I can't be having Kevin Peterson come on every now and then. But like Ishiguro, Mark Butcher, Simon Doyle are all top class commentators. I have them with the 3 mentioned before. Like, come on, just
commentators are good and fun.
Yeah.
We didn't break. So yeah, the next game in the Women's Ashes takes place on the 1st of July, which is this Saturday at Edgbaston. And that is going to be a T20. So that'll be taking place obviously in the evening after day 4 of the men's Ashes test. So yeah, like I said,
not still a conflict of scheduling. Does that not like lower the chances of as many people going to that T20 match? Could they not have scheduled it for the Monday?
I mean, yeah, probably.
Like,
yeah, I mean, I guess it's the window that they're trying to just force in before August and the 100. But I suppose at least it's not in London and it's not like at the Oval. At least it is somewhere else. But I suppose
about the oversaturation of cricket as well. Is that not also like piling onto that? Like
that cricket just
I mean Ashes Test match.
Yeah.
And then you've got a Ashes T20 match.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that is this kind of showcase of this series that I think there's only been like 1 day break between all these test matches. So the men's test at Birmingham finished last Tuesday. then we had the Wednesday off, and then the women's starts Thursday. And today we have today off after the women's test finished yesterday, and then tomorrow we've got the Lord's test. So it's all a bit like, I don't really think even many of the tests get time to breathe, I suppose, or I guess the Ashes, the concept gets time to breathe, because you're just being flung straight into another one. And I feel like people should be more talking about the women's game for longer than just a day before the men's just come in and be like, let's talk about the men's again. So
like,
it's
how many people will be talking about the women's T20 when there's still another day of the men's Ashes?
Exactly. Yeah,
potentially go.
If you're looking for like a very, potentially high stakes final day at day 5 of the Lord's test, and then suddenly that's gonna, potentially overshadow the women's game, which again is not what we want. So I think, like you say, maybe it probably would be best to either have it Sunday night or Monday. But I do understand Saturday, because then it's going to draw more people in. It's going to be less likely to get more people on a Monday night in Birmingham. And the ticket prices are reasonable as well. So I mean, if you're a cricket fan,
but that said, this has had 3 days on weekdays, this test match, and it's been
but I suppose it's always going to do, isn't it? A test match. There's no way, I guess, you can not have 3 days on a weekday.
Yeah, sure, but the attendance didn't suffer for it.
No, true. Yeah, good point. And I guess an evening game in Birmingham potentially, but yeah. I think the schedule was just so rammed. It's just if there wasn't a men's test happening this week, then it's great that you've got another women's game happening on Saturday so soon after the test match finishing. It's just a lot of cricket all the time, but we'll cover that as well at some point, probably in another review show. But that, again, just happy that there's more women's test cricket, and I just want there to be more test cricket. I just want there to be series, multiple formats are fun, but just like we say, the progression of narratives over a test series is great to see, and I would have loved to see how England were to combat Ash Gardner in the upcoming games. But we'll see that a bit more on the white ball, but it's obviously different test, isn't it? But still a really good fixture, a very good game, and a real good showcase for 5-day test cricket. And hopefully that will continue, and we'll have no more of the 4-day nonsense.
Or any IPL or 100 nonsense. Just test cricket every time.
Just test cricket all the time, every day. But yeah, so that's our overall review, I suppose, of the women's test. Hopefully we'll be able to see more tests in the future. If you've got any anything we missed, anything you particularly enjoyed from the test, let us know in the comments. Anything we got wrong, let us know. But briefly, as we did last week when we previewed the women's, are going to quickly preview the men's that starts tomorrow, as we said, because it's oversaturated. So we've also got to talk about it. So the Lord's game begins tomorrow between England and Australia in this Ashes series that will never end. Have you been able to avoid the team?
I haven't. I unfortunately, looking back on the scorecard for this game, I've seen a spoiler, which is confirmed 2 places.
Yeah,
so
2 places,
because it's said Tongue is in an all-seam attack.
Yes.
So that confirms that Mo isn't playing.
Yeah.
Tongue is playing, and that one of the 3 seamers that were playing in the first match are all playing, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. The only change from Edgerton is Tongue playing for Mo. From what we've seen, the pitch is very green. Sounds as though Wood is not fit for this game. But they're hoping by resting him this week, he'll be fit for the rest of the series from Leeds onwards. Just wanted that extra bit of pace. So have gone with Josh Tongue with his second test match after his debut against Ireland. There's not really much to say about the stuff to come other than that, I guess. Have you got any kind of thoughts about Tongue getting a Ashes debut?
I'm very hyped. I love Josh. It would have been hyped to have Rian Ahmed in, but if it's not looking like a spinny pitch, England need that extra pace in the variation of their seamers. So why not?
Why not?
Tongue is hype.
Yeah.
I think I've seen a lot of sort of jabs at Bazball on Reddit, especially.
Yeah.
I don't care. It's just a bit of that.
If
England keep losing, but still just piss around a bit.
Yeah.
Make it fun. I don't care.
Yeah,
just bring in Josh Tongue and Rian Ahmed.
Yeah.
Whatever. Just
Yeah,
do it.
because you know that Josh Tongue is the kind of player that Australian media have never heard of before, being like, the media have been more rattled by the Edgbaston result than in Australia than I think any kind of England fan has been. Like every day is someone else having a pop at Ollie Robinson or Baz Ball and stuff, and it's like, well, the test finished well over a week ago. Like, please
I'm sure the
move
Australian
on.
team don't even give a shit.
No,
You know, like I think it was in Robinson's wisdom column, which is weird that he's doing it
yeah,
during the
yeah,
Ashes, but
yeah,
whatever. I think like it. He said that him and Uzi had a chat, and it was all
yeah,
over. It's just like Uzi said, just watch what you say, mate, and
yeah,
it's done. Just like
yeah.
just let it go.
Well, it is.
Just enjoy the nonsense.
Yeah, but like someone like Michael Clark coming out to say yesterday, saying like, oh, he'd be back playing clubbies. It's like, no, he's 21 in Test cricket. I mean, I think he's all right. It's
I mean,
like,
the one thing I agree with Clark is if Jofra was fit, I think he would play over Robinson. The issue with that is Jofra hasn't been fit for about 10 years.
and there is the issue. But yeah, a full fit England attack would look very different. And Robinson would still play a part, but whether he'd play potentially all 5 games is completely different. But we'll see how it goes after a green seam at Lords. Shall we, Australia? I'm not like that's going to be very different. I mean, England might be 50 all out, but I think it's not going to be a really batters game at Lords, but we'll see. But yeah, there's also been a lot of other comments from other commentators. So I think someone having a pop at Bairstow for being a bit overweight and stuff. I'm just stop, like leave it. It doesn't matter. Just like enjoy the cricket. There's no need for the kind of like
I mean, that's
media stuff.
kind of a nice segue onto a different part of the cricketing world.
Mm.
I was like just happened to see this week, but like it's Devon Cornwall as well, who plays for the West Indies.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
no one has any problems with him
No.
playing.
No.
And like there's a lad in India that's just had a really good tournament. I'll send you the link to his stats so you can see.
Okay.
It's Sarfaraz Khan, who's just been playing in the 22-23 Ranji Trophy.
Yeah.
He's had 6 matches, 9 innings, 556 runs, 162 high score, 150s, 300s, average of 92.
Very good.
But he's not being called up for the
No.
Indian Test team. And
Yeah.
like if you look at him, it's a very sad thing, but I don't think he's getting called up to the Indian side for how he looks.
Yeah.
Because I think the BCCI have like the aesthetics of their team and how handsome and Bollywood
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
stars, which is why I think players are like Kohli and Rohit just have absolute immunity from the team because they're just select. When you have an
Yeah.
actually good player not getting any call up,
Yeah. It's not right, is it?
and this is just conjecture and a theory, but I would be willing to bet money on that being the reason.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably
It doesn't
yeah.
matter if Johnny Betto's a bit overweight because he plays well. It doesn't matter if
And
Cornwall's
he's also one of the most
overweight because
athletic.
he
Yeah.
plays well. He's
Yeah.
one of West Indies'
Yeah.
best spinners. And this
Yeah.
lad has just got fucking average of 92.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Like
you've
if
just
they're
dropped,
performing at highest level, leave it.
yeah, like you've just dropped Rahani, I think. Rahani or
Pajara.
Pujara.
Pajara. Yeah.
Why is he not getting a
Yeah.
chance to come in instead of like nicking the lad from Worcester who's
No, yeah.
not going to play for them
That's
now?
silly, isn't it? But no, I agree. It's and also back to Bairstow. Bairstow is one of the most kind of fit players in the team. Like how quickly he runs between the wickets and how much work he puts in. He's a bit bigger build. Doesn't mean he's always a bit overweight. It's just nonsense. I hate all this
Stupid
stuff. Like
complicated.
yeah, it's always from ex-players as well, and always just pointless. Like Matthew Hayden getting involved, Michael Clark, all this stuff. I'm just like, yeah, bit bored. So I'm a bit ready for actual cricket to happen again after the women's game has just finished. So more cricket. But yeah, I think that's mostly it from Ashes. I can't think of anything else. We will be at day number 3 of the Lord's Test, which is very exciting. You excited for that?
I am excited.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, the weather's calmed down a bit, so it's not going to be scorching. Because I think we've told it on the podcast before. When we went to the Ireland game in 2019, we couldn't get home because it was so hot that the wires had burnt on the train tracks. That was fun. So it's not going to be that warm. Hopefully it gets to day 3. Yeah, I'd be excited because the last Ashes game I went to was 2009 at Edgbaston. It was day 1, and it rained 3/4 of the day.
Nice.
So that was a great experience. So hoping for more cricket this time. Be nice. Have you got any other Ashes thoughts, women's or the Lord's Test?
I wouldn't say Ashes thoughts,
Uh-huh.
or cricket thoughts, really.
Yeah.
But like, have you seen there is a new television series that's been like greenlit from Elizabeth Banks, like of Pitch Perfect. So
No.
it's going to be following an adult Pebbles Flintstone.
What?
Yeah, it's really fucking stupid. I just wish like people in the creative industry would have like creative ideas for TV shows and
Yeah, probably. It'd be nice.
just original thoughts.
Yeah.
You know, like Velma did so fucking well. You're just like,
Oh
yeah,
yeah, no,
fuck it.
everyone loved
Let's
Velma.
age up this like beloved cartoon character into an adult comedy.
Oh,
Yeah.
goodness me. That's going to
Um,
go well.
yeah.
But everyone's going to be tuning to that.
Well, that's the not cricket segment.
A little brief not cricket. So I would say I'll look it up, but probably not.
No, I wouldn't. Don't.
Good. Okay, right. That is cricket and not cricket done. We'll be at Lords on Friday. I think we're going to maybe try and record something on the day. That might be nice, and I think we might do a day 3 review, and then we'll do a similar test review next week of the whole test. And then also I think we can cover the couple of 2020 games from the women's games in that as well. So it'll be our Ashes special show. Which we'll all enjoy immensely. There is the elephant in the room as well of the ICEC report on cricket, which was released this morning. As it was released today, we've both not really had a chance to properly look at it, but basically just saying there's a lot of racism and elitism and sexism entrenched in cricket, which is not really a surprise, and is very crap. But I think we'll probably process it and talk about it at some point when we've fully researched all the ins and outs. But basically, cricket should just be for everyone, and that's the bottom line, and that's it.
I think having talked about a really good competitive women's test match and like spoken briefly about like how body image doesn't matter for
Yeah,
playing cricket, I think that's as good a counter argument and like discourse on that news as we
yeah,
could have had without like looking into it properly or
exactly.
forming more of an opinion than that's bullshit.
Yeah, 100%. Just appreciating the cricket, which is good regardless of age, gender, beliefs, all this stuff. Yeah, it's just appreciating the great cricket when you get it, and that's all it should be. That should be on all levels. So yeah, we'll be back Friday potentially with an in-person day 3 review pod thing potentially.
Maybe.
Don't know. There'll be a vlog at some point. But if you want to catch up and see when we're going to release those things, where can people find us, Jamie?
Just not Crick Pod, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I always have to like think really hard about where we actually are on social media.
Where are we? What's going on?
Like, are we on TikTok? What is it?
We
What
are.
are we?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
love the TikToks. And also thank you for everyone who listened to our last episode. It is the most viewed episode, most watched and listened episode that we've had, which is very cool. I don't really understand how, but if you're back again after that episode, thanks.
I mean, Australia won again, so the Aussies will be back.
Yeah, well, this is true. But yeah, more of the same, and then yeah, we'll be back to talk about the Lord's Test at some point. But yeah, that's all from me. Is that all from Jamie?
Who?
Okay. Ashes.
Lol.